Hey everyone. Uh, we're a little late this week, but we figured keep it closer to game day and everyone's life kind of got in the way on Tuesday. But we are here for Bulls and Beers to talk about what happened in Nevada, talk about Army. They always say it's either darkest before the dawn or darkest before it goes pitch black. And we're going to have a little group therapy session here to find out where we think we are with this football season. But before we really dig into it, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Matt, who is decided to take a nice little walk during Bowls of Beers today. So Matt, it's all yours.
Yeah, I'm walking during this. We'll see. I've got 90% phone battery, so that should get us pretty far through the show. I just want to say, with regards to the team right now, I was expecting Tim to have a little bit more of his usual spiel than that, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And I feel like that's worse than being mad. Because, and part of it's because I grew up with Buffalo teams losing all the time. So I don't get that upset by losing, but I'm just disappointed, and I'm not surprised enough to be mad. And we're talking about how anyone else is doing that Tim might normally do, but I just want to say that first. That's how I feel, and I've oftentimes talked and on the blog about how I'm aware that those of us on the blog, especially the editors on the blog, are more invested in all of this than our readers are. And sometimes I get fussy that our readers behave in a certain way, but we're the ones that are invested, and this is how much I can muster about this team, the most visible one in the department right now. That's just how I'm feeling after Nevada, how I'm feeling this week. We finally at least admitted that Tyree Jackson is the starter. That's a good start. I'm eager to go from there.
Team Tyree, baby, Team Tyree. Yeah, Robert, what are your? How can you augment my woefully brief opening spiel? Any thoughts on how you're feeling for the week?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Matt still. My thoughts. I've just got to go on Matt. I'm pretty disappointed. I really didn't see that many changes from the Albany game, and they had 2 weeks to prepare. So, especially for offensive philosophy, that didn't change at all, and it's been the same since last year.
The one, like Matt said, the one really good thing we got coming out of this week is the depth chart has officially changed. There were a few changes. The most notable of which is Tyree Jackson is now our undisputed starting quarterback. And being that the freshman, he could be that could be going forward for a good long time. But what are you looking forward to seeing out of Tyree? What have you seen in 2 weeks that you think he really needs to work on? What is his fault? What isn't his fault? And how is he going to be better by the end of the year, Matt?
Oh, I really like this question. Because what I want to see from Tyree is an offensive coordinator that calls throws that are actually makeable.
You know what? You're so dead on. Go on.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that. I think that we can look at a bunch of these deep throws and be like, all Tyree's do is heaving it up. Maybe I'm not seeing it on the TV because of the way that you don't have the all 22. I'm not seeing makeable throws to get Tyree into a rhythm, which is what we saw with Joe Licata in Brandon Oliver's year. When we needed the passing game to get going, even in Joe Licata's junior year after Bo left, they had a handful of plays. Boise Ross, the one thing he was good at as a receiver was crossing routes. They had that quick screen out to Willoughby. I'm not seeing that in the playbook for Tyree. We look at these long passes and we're like, damn, Tyree's just bombing it. What's going on? But I'm not seeing any higher percentage throws, maybe 10, 12, 15-yard routes where a receiver has room to get into space, and it's not just to throw up the sideline. A lot of the incompletions up the sidelines that I saw were Tyree throwing such that the defenders couldn't get the ball. And there were some that were like, oh, that's really far out of the field of play, but it's he's got to throw so that the double covering defenders can't get the ball. I feel like the play calling is all out of whack for a freshman a freshman quarterback who we'd love to see get into a rhythm and get some useful experience as a
you'll
quarterback.
notice the one short pass he threw, which was, I believe, the screen, was that to Johnson? Or was it to Hawkins? Went 57 yards for a touchdown. Like
That was Johnson.
That was the one really
Yeah.
short pass play that we saw was a touchdown.
'Cause-
And it is frustrating, but I kind of want to console you when we consider, and I'll have a record piece coming out later tonight. I do my weekly record check to see where our guys are. I took a look at how Joe Licata did through his first game, 2 games, because if you remember, Licata started at about he started at about halftime against Toledo, coming in for an injured Alex Zordich. And then he started the next game. So we have almost the same situation with Jackson, where he came in about at halftime to replace Rohak in the first game, then a full game. The stats for the 2 quarterbacks are Jackson threw for 255 yards, Licata for 195. Licata for 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, Jackson 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. The completion percentage is the big difference, and as Matt was saying, a lot of that is play selection. So many long bombs. Now here's what jumps out though: rushing the ball. Joe Licata in his first game and a half, 5 attempts for 5 yards. Tyree Jackson, 18 attempts for 147 yards. It's an 8.2 yard average. So, Robbie, other than what Matt's, do you have anything to add to what Matt said? What are you looking for? What do you want to see the coaching staff do, or what do you want to see Tyree work on in the next few weeks as we kind of resign ourselves to this does not look like a bowl year?
I really agree with Matt in the fact that we can't have him keep trying to make these deep throws every other play. Especially in the fact that, Tyree has a strong arm, and that's obvious because he had the arm enough to get the ball down the field like that. But at the moment, he doesn't have the accuracy. And right now, I feel like we need to cater to what Tyree's current strengths are, and that is, giving him some short passes and some intermediate passes that are going to free up his run game so that he can, start taking in keepers and truck through, a defensive line like, Nevada's. It wasn't that strong of a line. But, when you have Tyree averaging 11 yards a carry, I feel like if he had a couple more completions, it would have been an unstoppable offense. But with these, with the passes, with how they were, it would have been much better if we had some curl routes for him to throw to. I feel like Marcus McGill would be perfect for that.
Who's that?
He has exactly. The guy who has 3 catches on the season. But if Marcus McGill, if he got so much more involved with Tyree as quarterback, it would be wonderful. McGill has wonderful hands, and then
I'm going to tweet that later. McGill has wonderful hands. Robbie Johnson.
But no, and then you have Holsey, who's a very speedy wideout. You have Holsey, who's a very speedy wideout, and he would be perfect for a lot of slot receiving plays. And I just don't see any of that. I see a lot. I see these 2 wide receivers just running down the field, hoping to catch a deep ball.
And
every other play, and then a Tyree Jackson keeper.
One of the things that really annoys me in certain coaches, and it annoyed me under Jeff Quinn a bit in his first couple years, is coaches who don't coach for their personnel. We saw when Jeff Quinn came, he tried to be the Cincinnati Bearcats in Buffalo, and it failed miserably because he didn't have the personnel. Brandon Oliver convinced him, at least the story goes, Brandon Oliver came to him in the offseason and said, let's run the ball more, give me a fullback in front, let's see what we can do. And that's what UB became, and it became a very effective offense. I'm trying to think, looking at the routes we're running and those long passes, we don't have a burner at receiver this year.
No, his name is Boise Ross, and he's playing DB.
I mean, who do we have that's really fast? I mean, for those routes to work,
it's Holsey.
Holsey can run a 40-yard dash. It's just we're not using him to his strengths.
We're not using Holsey to his strengths. Holsey's speed right now with a redshirt freshman quarterback should be used on crossing routes to create separation. Tyree can lead him with a pass, only throwing it 15 or 20 yards instead of 25 or 30. And then Halsey's speed can open up space after he's gotten separation from,
That's the thing with Tyree.
You can use speed without running verticals. And right now it's very apparent that Tyree, I think that he can make those long throws, but not if he's not in a rhythm, and they're not giving him any chance to get into a rhythm, not giving him any help with options underneath. And you can use speed and underneath options. Have Halsey run crossing routes.
That and even if Tyree can't make those throws right now, he has the arm enough to where he can develop the accuracy.
Oh, I gotta tweet this out. We got a guest. We have a face.
The Kahuna
will run past. I gotta get on Twitter for a second. Conrad, have you been following? Because I'd love to throw this question at you. You got a good brain for football. We're debating what Tyree needs to improve, or if it's not Tyree at all, if the coaches need to just coach better for who they have at quarterback.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, I'll take a check. I didn't cut out in the middle of the question.
All right, we're talking offense. We're talking what do you want to see out of Tyree that you think he needs to work on this year, given that this is now pretty much a development year? Or is it nothing at all, and it's just the coaches have to figure out how to use him?
I don't think he's that great of a passer right now, from what we've seen. So he's got to work on that. But I think in the meantime, to save the season, they just got to run the ball more, do more of one of those. What we'll see from Army, more focused run game. Where using Tyree, he's really dangerous in the run game. So that's what I want to see.
So I guess we shouldn't be throwing the ball 3 yards down the field. We should be doing short stuff to make Tyree more dangerous, more dynamic, which is pretty much what Matt and Robbie were just saying. But it is frustrating. It was really frustrating, that game. I will say, Matt, I did see a difference between week 1 at Albany and week 2 at Nevada, and I think we were much more committed to the run.
I agree with that. I think it was Robbie who said he didn't see much difference.
Was it Robbie? The problem,
I do agree we saw more run.
There was a lot more running game. I will say that.
But the problem I saw with the running game was the same run over and over again.
Yep.
Go play up the middle.
I mean, it can work a little bit because we do have a quarterback that can make the draw work now, right? We haven't had that for years. So, like Robbie said, if you have a quarterback that can run the ball 8 to 11 yards per carry, but they got to do something else. That first drive was perfect. It was a perfect example of this play worked. Didn't quite work this time, so now we got to punt the ball. And that was Or this play worked this way. Now let's throw the ball really long. It's
this offense reminds me of the 2012 Boston College offense, and I'm not going to say any more and just let you go and look up how that worked out.
Can't leave you on that cliffhanger.
Well,
I'll give you.
Boston College has had a miserable offense for a lot of years.
I know that much. 3-0 win.
That first drive, do we run the same play 6 times?
I don't know. Yeah, was it?
Yes. Yeah, and it worked great for 4 times, and then it didn't anymore.
Kind of the Rocky Balboa school of offensive coordinating. Just keep throwing the same punch over and over, and let him punch you and get mad, and that's how you win.
I want to say I wish we could win by getting mad, but then I remember who our coach is. And I don't wish that we could win by getting mad, because we wouldn't win.
And that was painful too. We talked about that last week, how there was just no emotion against Albany, and kind of really hoping everyone came out with a chip on their shoulder against Nevada, but I didn't see it. And
I think I saw there was one point where I saw that energy, and it was when Hawkins came out for the first time, and it seemed like Tyree and Hawkins had the chemistry to start dealing blows. And then once they had to punt the ball after what was a pretty successful drive, besides not being able to score, I didn't see it again for the rest of the game.
But now, as much as we want to rag on the offense, and quite honestly, my bigger fear right now is the defense.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because I expected the offense to struggle this year. I looked at it and said, okay, this is going to be rough. But hopefully we'll get the defense back and carrying us. But that's not what's happening. our defense was brutal. Again, I mean, they did already against Albany. I look at the Albany game and say they were pinned back a lot. Albany didn't really. I think they had one or two decent-ish drives. But man, we couldn't. Nevada just steamrolled us. It felt like to me.
Yep.
It felt like 38 was them being easy on us. And I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I guess I can't figure out what's changed because honestly, I am shocked at how ineffective the front seven is right now. And Conrad brought this up in the game thread, and I am honing in on it. Nevada's running back at times had times to make 4 cuts before diving up for 3 yards. If a running back ever has time to make multiple cuts, he should be swarmed. And I didn't see that aggressiveness in pursuit from the linebackers. I was most impressed with the front seven last year and felt like either people came back or we got JUCO guys who we were pretty excited about. And I think we were justified in being excited about someone like Khalil Hodge.
Yeah.
And something's changed. And I don't want to say this in a way that insults Brian Borland, but maybe something changed in the scheme. And if it did, that was a silly decision. But otherwise, I can't figure out what changed. You know, there's someone in our comments talking up Brandon Berry. And, you know, I got to be honest, he didn't appear in, you know, in the starting line of the depth chart all summer. But whether it's Berry or Hodge or Franklin, or I don't even know who else, I haven't noticed. The only time I've noticed a middle linebacker so far this year is when Hodge got dinged up and had to go off the field. Got to be honest, that's the only time I've noticed a middle linebacker through 2 games. And I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, I thought with our front seven being relatively untouched and Boise Ross coming back as a senior, I thought we would really be a tougher team this year. But, I mean, man, Nevada's not that great. Albany's an FCS team, albeit they're looking like they're a decent one. They're 3-0 now. They're playing far above where anyone thought they would be. I think we play a lot of offenses that are a lot better than what we've seen so far, and I don't know that our defense is going to be up to task. You know, Robbie, do you think there's anyone that can emotionally step up and take this team? Because it seems like it's energy.
Energy-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know. Boise seems like he has the energy to really, you know, pick the team up.
You mean when the refs aren't screwing him over?
Well, of course. But, like, Boise and the student union before the Albany game, you know, took the mic from us, from True Blue, and, you know, pled his case of how everyone should go to the game. And, you know, he did a wonderful job. He had the energy. And, like, and I said it in my post-game piece for Nevada, you know, this is a lot of these guys that are on this team definitely have the energy outside of the football field, which shouldn't be, you know, it should be the other way around. But I don't know why they just come out with, it's almost like blank stares, and, you know, it's like they're just shells of who they are in the classroom.
I hate to say this, have they started checking out on LL Cool Coach?
I see it in some of them, and some of them still seem like they still have the fire in their eyes, and, you know, they're ready to go get, you know, a couple wins here and there. Some of them definitely have checked out, I think.
Now I go back to Conrad, because Conrad, of course, worked really closely with the team back when they were really bad during the Hoffer years. And Conrad, is there anything you see where it's kind of closely resembles what you saw back then, or is this just literally a rebuilding year, or is this team just not Lance's anymore?
Well, I think I am confused like everyone. I think I expected this last year when we were really undersized in the front 4. Mm-hmm. And then it worked out, and we had Brandon Berry's charging through the gaps and making big stops on 3rd down and short. So we had a lot of optimism on that. And I haven't seen that at all for my linebackers this year, and I'm not sure why. That said, I'm not sure if I feel the same way about energy. I was defending the defense a little bit online this week. When the offense is going to go 3 and out, or they're going to go no huddle for 6 plays and then go out, I think that it becomes demoralizing. When you have that feeling that you can't allow a touchdown or you're going to lose the game, that's demoralizing. I think it carries over from Albany. I don't think there's any way you think that we score under 50 against Albany. So when you allow a touchdown second half and the game is over, that puts a lot of pressure on you. And I think the tipping point for last week's game was that double face mask that was only called on us. Because
Gosh,
that was us. I think it would have been 13-0 at the time if we held them to that field goal, if that tackle got made.
Yes,
And we missed
that's
a field
correct.
goal. We missed a field goal. We had that 6-play drive, which we, like I said, had the 4 good looking plays. It looked like we were going to be able to move, but we weren't completing those drives. And I think mentally that just gets on you. But then that touchdown goes through, and then I think the floodgates were open after that. And I think there was certain frustration, but I don't know if I'd say quit or anything. It's way too early for that. I just think I think the offense has to show that they can play football, because until they can do that, the pressure on the defense is going to be so high. Once it goes down 14-0, we're going to assume the game is over.
I don't know, but the defense was in the same situation last year. I mean, let's remember how bad the offense was to start. I mean, yeah, we scored 51 on Albany, but I mean, defense alone won the FAU game. I mean, our defense through the first part of the year was all we had. I don't think we were ever effective against Nevada. I agree with you. Defense can get worn down. Definitely when your offense plays as bad as ours has been playing, but not in the first quarter. You know, I mean,
well, I think there was more faith in Licata. I think that waned at the end, and then we lost his last 3 games. But I think there was more faith that we were going to be the offense we had in 2014, the record-breaking offense. And then now I don't think. I don't know if our Brewpeg score is over 20. I don't think people think we're going to score 20 points. I think we're going to maybe 10.
wait till we get to my Brewpeg, baby.
Until we get the offensive rhythm, our defense is always going to be on thin ice. So I think it's a total team collapse, and we don't have rhythm on defense. We don't have rhythm on offense, and we need both of those things so that we can get the momentum going forward.
But how do you turn that around then?
You need a drive. You need to come out on your first drive of the game and run down the field and score points. Then the defense knows, okay, we got some support. That's like a baseball, a pitcher who always has to win the game 1-0. He knows he's not going to get more than 1. When he gets 2 guys on base, he's nervous already. If you know that you have a team that can score, you have 2 guys on base, you just know I got to get that next out. I don't think we are focusing on getting that next out. We're trying to end the game, and we're seeing these big plays explode.
Gosh, we've missed you, Conrad. a lot better football commentary than we've had this season. Thank you. Excuse me. I am fighting. My wife says it's Legionnaire's disease because it's going around in Minnesota, but I don't want to run the marathon like this.
That's that disease Jean-Claude Van Damme had, right?
Good, Legionnaires.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I know he played in a movie where he was in the Legion. I didn't know he actually had Legionnaires.
No, I'm just referring to the movie. I don't know if he had it.
Okay, I was about to say. That'd be really unfortunate / awesome. I really, really was disappointed there wasn't more kickboxing in his movies. I'm just gonna put that out there. So
I'm disappointed there's not more kickboxing in UB football games.
Be careful.
Oh no.
Be careful.
Hey, Raheem Johnson is not on the football team.
I was 2 seconds away from saying they were going to suit him up.
Yeah, well, I think it would spice the game up.
He gets there. That's illegal in
Raheem
kickboxing.
Johnson for tight end.
Hey, Chad Upshaw went from tight end to the UB basketball team for a season.
Yes, he did.
Without Conrad, this is what our broadcasts have been more of, is talking UB history while Robbie and Kevin look on bewildered.
We seriously were talking about that earlier today at the hockey game. We just sit here sometimes for 10 minutes on end about how Matt and Tim talk about some play that was like 10 years ago or something.
I'm still pissed. I almost brought this up last week. I'm still pissed about a basketball game against CMU from 2006 the refs took from us. But I didn't bring it up last week. So
nothing beats Ball State where they call them
I'm sorry, I had a motorcycle go by. I didn't hear that, Tim.
You and Kevin just got to be more aggressive and jump in there. That's all. Tell us old folks to shut up occasionally.
I need to
Go
drink
away,
more
dark
before the
side
show then.
What?
Then I need to drink more before the show.
Okay.
That means I'll be able to button more.
The more
Be
your
less
liquid
polite.
courage. We all know you're not.
Liquid courage.
Must be how God feels. Is it?
I got a question for y'all. I got a question.
Yeah.
So the last time we played Army, they were a perfect 6 for 6 in the passing game, and that was entirely built on the fact that, like, we didn't even, like, our corners would just blitz the backfield the instant the ball was snapped, which is kind of a foolish decision because even an Army quarterback can complete a ball to a wide open receiver like that. How much of an impact do we think Boise Ross's absence will have in the first half? Because I'm inclined to say, if you're going to miss a half, miss it versus Army. They're already super strong in the run game. They might not have to pass that much to move the ball on us anyway. I think we're all in agreement that call.
Oh, that was such a
awful.
Ball.
There was helmet-to-helmet contact, but it did not fit the rule of targeting. There was no launch. There was no crouch. There was no.
That was 15-yarder. That should have just been a 15-yard helmet-to-helmet and a story.
And I would have been disgruntled with it at 15, but I would have been okay saying end of story. I would have been okay with that.
It's ironic too with the hit that McGill got last year.
Yeah, I remember Conrad. You had a nice vine of that one up when they did that.
Yeah, I tweeted about that right away. I said, "What's especially egregious about it is that that's an expulsion and the hit 3 yards deep in the end zone."
McGill that they popped?
It was McGill on the 2-point conversion, and then that guy made 3 or 4 tackles on the drive, for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I look at some of these Penny Ante helmet-to-helmets that they're calling now, and I kind of roll my eyes. But I understand, as long as they call me. Like, I don't think really that play should have been called for anything.
I agree.
But if you're going to call the 15, let it go. Because technically he hit his helmet with a face mask. Now, a face mask to a helmet's not really an aggressive attack. That's called going for the ball. But I think, you think about this. Boise will get through 3 games now. He will have only played 6 quarters of football. And that's, for a guy who came into the season looking like he might be draftable, that's a pretty big impact. That's a lot of football to miss.
Yeah. And he's not going to get a lot of chances to show off if we keep, if the other teams are playing with the lead. I mean, that's a different topic.
Oh, I know.
Draftability.
We can't stop the run, then we're definitely not playing to his strengths.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different topic. But I do want to ask, honestly, does it matter that Boise's out in terms of UB winning or losing this game? Of course, from emotional level, it would be nice to have a captain out there. But, 1, can we force the Army to have to pass in the first place? 2, would Boise help if they did? And how much? Those are my questions.
If I was going to put on my crazy hat, I would put Brandon Berry out at corner.
Huh.
Khalil Hodge in the middle. Berry is an awesome tackler. He's athletic enough to be dangerous. I don't know.
I feel like I gotta quote Dana Carvey in the Master of Disguise. Say it's just so crazy, it might work.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, he was a defensive back. He was a safety.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like that's not that crazy, Tim.
I really like Cameron Lewis as a quarterback. He's been doing a very wonderful job so far this year.
Yeah, I like Lewis out there.
He's being very underrated, in my opinion.
I'll agree with that. I will say, as much as I love the idea, I will say there's someone in our comments saying Berry may not play this week. And that's all we know.
If Berry's being relegated to second string, I would definitely be okay with seeing him as a cornerback for this game. That'd be interesting to see.
At least on some packaging.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, Ross it would give me something to watch.
He's not a great tackler.
It would give me something to be excited for and watch if kickboxing's not going to happen.
Just wait till basketball. He will get you covered.
I got to get off of this intersection. I don't know what street it is, but I'm not happy about it.
You know, I have to post on this later and inject scenes from the Blair Witch Project. I just really do. All I can think of when I see this with Matt, like, Matt, just looking at the camera, go, I'm so sorry.
I'm pretty sure I'm close to the Walmart, but really my only objective right now is to walk south until I hit the Capitol building, which is difficult to miss. And
Or
I'm very Virginia. I'm very good
You
with
should give
maps,
us-
so I like know exactly where I am directionally, but I don't know where I am distance-wise. And I'm pretty sure I'm
You
close.
should give us a tour of DC while we're on both.
I'm fully planning on putting the Capitol building in my background once I get there,
Legit.
provided my battery holds out, which I think it will.
I don't know if the show's going to hold out that long.
Well, if I'm where I think I am, I'm less than 20 minutes away.
Yeah, we're 70% through the agenda. I'm just, you know, it's hard. It's a lot harder to do this show after these couple of weeks. And like Matt said, and I think I don't know if Robbie said it during the show. I know he said it pre-show. But we're Buffalo fans. We're used to this, right? We're used to pain. The Bills haven't been to the playoffs in 17 years. The Bulls have had so many bad years in the past 17 years and only a couple of bright spots. This feels different to me. And maybe it's because I didn't really jump on board, and Conrad can speak more to this. I didn't jump on board as a real football fan of UB until Turner Gill came. And there was always excitement at that point. Even during the doldrums of the Jeff Quinn era, we still had the echoes of Gill's team. The players were still there. But, I mean, I don't think since I started following this team really closely in 2007, I've seen a team look as hopeless as this. And that goes even talking about Jeff Quinn's team. What do you think, Conrad? Am I off base here?
I would say 2012. 2010 we had 2010 and 2011 we had it looked like football. 2012 when that 3 for 22 games or it had or whatever, it didn't look like football. And I think last week watching it, we're just throwing up 40-yard passes and missing every one of them. It didn't look like football again. So, but I still think this is a little better. I think we have more talent. But I felt like 2012.
Really? Well, what was Oliver's first season? Was Oliver's first season 2011?
2010, the Ike Naduka treatment.
And he wasn't good. Yeah.
He wasn't good. We were all clamoring for Ike Naduka.
Yeah, I mean, in 2010, I think we finished 2-10 that year.
Yes, we did. Yes.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just, what they say, it always hurts the most when you get punched in the face at the moment.
The city government cleans the street.
I like Jerry Davis more than most people.
I like Jerry Davis.
I liked him. I felt
Jerry
like
Davis, Marcus Rivers, and Terrell Jackson. We had a similar. I can do good. We had like offense. I think our problem was probably defense. And then 2011, I like Chaz more than most people. We almost beat both of the East and West champions that year, and it still looked like football. We just weren't winning. 12, I thought it didn't look like football, and we're wondering why we kept bringing out the same offense to do nothing every week. That was it. And then we were playing that awful defense. But that's where 2012 is when I started firing Tepper. So 2012 for me is we weren't playing defense, we weren't playing offense, and we were just losing all our games until Licata came in and saved everyone's jobs.
Yeah, he really did that year. Licata. Licata saved Jeff Quinn's job for like 2 years. Came in one of those last 3 games. Thanks, Joe.
The good part about this time is you got Tyree Jackson.
Can I tie together? I want to tie together Conrad and Tim right now with something that I find hilarious, and I'll buy Joe Licata a beer if I ever meet him for it. So somebody tweeted us and was like, we retweeted at one point Tyree's stats through the game. It was 7 for 23 or something, and someone tweeted us and was like, oh my God, that's awful, blah blah blah. And I quoted that and said, still better than 4 for 22, 3 for 22 against Kent State. And Joe Licata favorited the tweet.
That's
and I want to buy him a beer for that.
I will say this about Joe Licata. He knows that he's not going to be this amazing NFL quarterback. He said it to many people before, and he's literally just writing out his dream.
I have no ill will to Joe. I have ill will to the way that Buffalo media fawned over him.
And he will agree with stuff like that. And that's one of my favorite parts about Joe Licata.
the way I look at Licata is this. he made it through a full NFL preseason, and that
Exactly.
makes him one of the best 100 or so guys chucking the ball in the country right now. So
In the world.
yeah, you could say what you want about Licata. He was a good leader. He was a good quarterback. One thing I'm glad about him being gone is the Willie Licata debates have ceased.
Yeah.
And now we can start the Tyree versus Zach Maynard debates.
I also
Yeah.
miss the Licata Tony Daniel debates.
When were those?
So
Last year.
Last year.
Everyone was like, put
There
in
were
Tony
people-
Daniel.
basically people fell in love with the devil they didn't know. And I shouldn't call Tony Daniel the devil, but like I at times was watching the game like, why don't we let's put Tony in and see what happens. And it never really came. But I do think I think a lot of people
This
felt
has
like
been really
they wanted to.
strong. I have no memory of this.
Yeah, I think
the game
I
crowd
think
got it.
honestly, I think the Tony Daniels stuff goes back to the Eastern Michigan game that got Quinn fired. Joe had a really tough game that game, and people were calling for Tony Daniel then, and it kind of subsided once Alex Wood came up and took over, but it was kind of lurking whenever. It fit into the same thing as how could this guy be our school record holder if he can't complete that pass right there in that moment. It kind of existed in the same mindset that like, if this is all this guy can do, we might as well try the other guy. It was out there.
And I put it in. We knew what he could do, and we knew what we couldn't do, and we kept putting him in situations with things he couldn't do.
Yeah.
And then
Which is what we're doing with Tyree.
My whole thing last year was 2014. He breaks records, and now 2015 he can't complete a pass. And they say, and you blame the quarterback. And it's like, did he forget everything he knows in 1 year, or is it the new coaching staff? And now that it's 2016 and we can't complete another pass still, I think it was the coaching staff. So
I
I mean,
still think
if
it's
this-
Andy
if-
Kotelnicki.
if this season continues the way it looks, you look back at last year and it changes the entire narrative. Like how do we even win 5 games?
What was the question, Conrad?
Oh, I said if this season continues the way it was, it changes the whole narrative of last season. You wonder how we even won 5 games last year, and we can't even move the ball this year.
I'm gonna I'm gonna take defense for 1,000, and that's what it was
Yeah.
last year. I mean, I think defense won at least 3 of those games themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Tyler Grassman won one. I had so much fun writing that post. Tyler Grassman's punts against Kent State won us
Yep.
that game.
Definitely.
Yep. And I gotta say, I kind of rolled my eyes at this early on, mostly because like Robbie has a way of expressing his disappointment that makes me feel like crap, and I don't like that. So I kind of roll my eyes at Robbie sometimes. But I am like I can't. If sports make me sad, I'm gonna stop watching sports. And like I said, I can deal with losing, but like Robbie has this way. The way that Robbie expresses disappointment is like, oh, now I feel really bad about myself. But Robbie's been on for a couple weeks about how the lack of energy goes back to after we were 5-4 last year.
Exactly.
And I'm really on that train now. That it's an energy thing. And I agree that the defense is inexplicably different. At least inexplicable to me. But I'm really, Robbie's hitting some notes that I'm agreeing with that.
You see,
Nowadays.
it's always tough for me to come down on that too hard because, like I said, these are all students, and I always want to look at them first as students.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going on in their lives? I think it's up to the coaches to step in and find one of those guys who can, make them want to run through a wall, and that's what we don't have right now. And I think Connor made a great point about if you walk into a game as a defense knowing that you're not going to get any support. That's got to be really disheartening. Maybe that's what we're seeing. But, I mean, Tyree's fun to watch. Hopefully the offensive staff can figure out how to use him. A lot more screens, a lot more, like Matt said, slants with our faster receivers, a far more diverse running game, and put some points on the board early, get our defense excited to play. I think talent-wise, there's no reason we can't hang with Army. What do you think, guys?
I've loved the talent that Leipold has put in to this program. I just feel like the execution is off. I think Kamasi Hulsey could be a very good wideout. It's just we can't just keep going for these verticals that are 40 yards apiece or something like that, and praying that we get one of these deep balls to go through Tyree Jackson. Tyler Mabry is a wonderful tight end. Especially I think he's a redshirt freshman right now, and I think he has a very good shot of being a strong tight end through his entire UB career. It's just execution. I think we have the talent to hang with Army. It's going to be all on that play calling.
Matt?
Well, I want to believe, we'll get to Brupeg in a minute, and I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek. It's hard for me to nail down how many points I expect out of Brupeg, out of Army. I could see the defense stepping up and taking advantage of size advantages and actually doing some things, and I could see Army just doing what they do. But what it boils down to me right now is, how would I beat Army? The same way I'd expect to beat Albany. I take advantage of size advantages and power running. And we didn't use that to beat Albany. We didn't beat Albany. I do think the team is talented enough, but the execution's got to be there. I'm certain that there'll be a more disciplined defense than they were when we played Army, excuse me. The last time we played Army, I'm certain they'll be more disciplined than that, because I think Borland is a stronger defensive coach than we had at the time. But they're not going to be that. They're not going to have that much size. Run jumbo packages, put one wide receiver out there and just say, we're bigger than you. We're going to do 3 yards in a cloud of dust over and over again. And I'm happy to win that way. I don't think that's how it's going to go. But that's the one clear advantage I can find is size, and just put them in situations where they can't ignore our size. And I don't think it's going to happen.
And I think Army schemes so they can get around their size, and they have figured it out. And so even if we had the side advantage, I don't think we would be successful, because they totally figured it out, how they're going to run their system. So we have to out-strategize them, and I don't see it happening because we don't look like we know anything. And Army really figured it out over the last 3 years with their new coach.
Former UB coach.
Football is not football, Conrad.
What do you say?
Is it looking like football is not football?
Football is definitely looking like D3. So yeah, it could be no further. I think you got to do what the new shirts will be the equal with the slash into it. It's not equal.
I'll try to get those up on the store, but you know what? My Back to Buffalo shirts never sold. So the guys who actually do the shirt design, and it's not me, are slightly annoyed. I'm like, oh, get this in. People are going to love this. And 2 shirts get bought. And I bought one of them. So,
Yeah.
I think my mother bought the other one. All right. Matt mentioned Brupeg. We're going a little fast today because we're a couple of people short. Let's go ahead and throw Brupegs, and I'll let Conrad go first since he's heading into Buffalo to go to the game.
I listed my post a couple of minutes ago, but just theme. I don't know what actually is going to go on, but I put Army 17, UB 76.
I love that pick. That's awesome.
Just make sure that Army's backup quarterback doesn't tweet you after the fact saying nice pick and try to shame you about it.
Wait, who did that?
Albany's backup quarterback tweeted me about my UB 2020 pick.
That crook.
I went right after him. I said, actually, that's an homage. That's an homage to my dead dad, but you do what you want to do.
I did see that. I didn't know he was backup quarterback. Oh boy.
So let's just hope that no Army backup quarterback gets upset about a 1776 group. I mean, I hope that they do so that we can laugh at them anyway, but whatever.
Well, I have a lot more faith in the guys who play for Army than the guys who play for Albany. And that's all I'm going to say about it. All right, Robbie.
Oh, man, I haven't even made my Brupeg pick yet, so Let's
Now's
see.
your chance. Game's tomorrow, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Blacker.
I'm gonna go. Army wins this game, 31-24, and I think we see a much better offense. I think Koloniki is gonna get it together a little bit, but I don't think the defense is still gonna be able to keep up with the triple option. We saw Nevada run the triple option a lot in the last game, and we absolutely struggled. And
And they don't run it as well as Army does.
yeah, and Army, this is their specialty. This is their defining moment of their offense. And I think we just aren't going to be able to keep up with that. And although we will lose this game, I feel like this will be a positive direction for the program, despite losing 31-24.
Hard to see a loss as being a positive move, but then again, we're
We're 0-2. We lost to an FCS team.
Yeah, I
so.
we just saw 2 weeks of really bad football. So,
Yeah.
Matt, if you're still there, it's awful dark. Are you alive?
I'm still there. I'm alive. I'm trying to get to the Capitol building for my shout-outs, and I'm like less than 2 blocks away.
All right, I'll give you time. I'll go next, Matt.
Well, I mean, I'll use it for BrewPeg. I'll just get there for shout-outs. That's okay.
All right, go on.
So, like I said, I can see Army scoring within like a range of like 30 points. I could see us solving the triple option enough to maybe hold them to under 30. I could see them doing what they did against UTEP and scoring 66, and that's really tough for me. One thing I don't have
somewhere between 15 and 75.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna give you an actual number. I promise you that. But on the flip side, I don't yet have the faith in the offense, and if it's there, I'll be very excited to see it, and I'll be very happy. But I think my pick is Army 42, UB 17.
Army what?
42.
42.
The answer.
I made a decision this week, and that is I'm not going to win BrewPeg, so I'm going to go down swinging.
You're doing better than me. I have no points.
So do I.
No,
No.
you have a point. You have
Tim,
a
you
point.
picked Nevada
I'm
to
the
win,
editor
didn't
for
you?
that
How
one.
will I get a point? Okay, woohoo!
I have
Didn't you pick Nevada to win, Tim?
No.
Oh, you have a point. I'm certain that you do.
I was going to come.
Yeah, no, I'm the only one without a point.
Come in
out
and
of all the
silence
others.
everybody.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I do remember that now. That was a silly thing. Oh, I got to cross Constitution. 1 second.
Okay. I'm going to say Buffalo comes back in a big way and win 35-17. And I really don't expect them to win, but I have to say they're going to win, so I can't make up how that's going to happen. But I'm going to go down swinging this year. I'm going to pick Buffalo every week by what I believe is a realistic margin if the Buffalo comes out and plays like they can. And now we'll move on to shout-outs. I won't go first with Matt because Matt looks like he's getting a little winded.
Yeah. I had to run to make that signal.
It's a 3-mile walk, man.
I had to make that signal.
Robbie, go ahead. Sign
I'm
off.
gonna have to. My shout out would be for 4 specific football players this week. So True Blue had their involvement committee meeting, and we lost a lot of kids this week. I'm not going to lie, because the football team is not performing. And compared to the first involvement committee meeting, we probably had half the size. And that was very troubling. We did have 4 football players come into the meeting, and they said thank you for the support and everything. And those 4 were Jordan Johnson, Malcolm Robinson, Marcus McGill, and Max Parisi. And it does mean a lot when they take times out of their day. Thanks for the Capitol building shot. And but it means a lot when they come in, especially since usually the stereotype with a lot of people is that the football players don't care as much about their fan support. And when those 4 guys came in, and although some of them didn't say as much, it means a lot. And And I would have to say, especially for Max Parisi, I have to give the biggest shout out to. He has been such a huge supporter for True Blue in the student section, and I can't thank him enough for that. So that's definitely what my shout out is this week.
And before we go over to Conrad, I just want to say, if you are a student or if you talk to your fellow students, going to the games is not just about going to watch a team win. Of course, that's fun. But it's a rare time in your life when you can say, I want to wake up on Saturday and just walk across campus and watch a game. And that it's a very, very tiny portion of your life that you're living in now. And when you get all grown up and out of college and you have a job and a family, it's not that easy to accommodate. Even sitting down to watch the games is difficult in your later life. So go, have fun with your fellow students, cheer for your team. Remember, each one of those football players are students who on average maintain a GPA higher than your average UB student. So they're in the classroom, they're doing work. Go support your team and have fun together. Conrad, you got a sign off you want to make? Anything you want to talk about?
Not honestly. Oh, I guess I would say, my last thought is if we lose this game and we're 0-3, and we go to Boston College and lose that, we're 0-4, it's going to be really. I don't know if Robbie is, but I know we're not inside the department as much as maybe other people. So we'll have to see how good these coaches are. Because I do know where I am. I think we have a really good coach next year, and he's just going to be amazing. We have that feeling that it's going to be amazing. So I don't care if he goes home straight from this year. He's going to be amazing. And I had that feeling that's going to go. And I would take him for the first year. He's going to be amazing. So I don't really know. I've heard different things. But, if this coach is going to do it, then we need to support it. If the word comes out that people don't really believe in him, then we need to actually cut and go for our next option. But I don't think it really comes down to what we see on the field. It would come down to the person is if they're going to be coaching. We'll have to think about that. But I know immediately once we lose the Army, it's going to be a call for people that. So, and I'll probably read the call because that's what I've done in the past. So that's just my only thought.
All right, cool. Matt?
Yeah, I have multiple shout outs. They're all I'll keep them kind of short and small. First one is, actually I have four, that's a lie. First one is something we didn't mention yet. We didn't mention that Army, like UB, has also lost a player more recently than Solomon Jackson. Honestly, I've been walking this whole time, or I would have looked up and gotten his name, and I apologize for that. But I hope that, not that I think that anyone would be disrespectful, but I hope that we'll keep that in mind, because we remember what it was like, even for us.
It was Brandon Jackson.
Darn it, I was going to say Brandon Jackson, and I waffled. Good to get it right, though. All of us just live where we do and access UB through our computer screens, except for Robbie, and we know what it was like for us, let alone what it was like for the guys who are closer, and Army's going through that too, and I just want to raise that. Another thing that we haven't mentioned, it's partially not on this show, is I want to give shout out to Stephen Means. You may agree or disagree with whatever you want to do, but Stephen Means took his right from the First Amendment, his right to do what he wanted to do, and did what he wanted to do, and he's received a hell of a lot more hate than anything he can give out by putting a fist up in the air. And so I want to shout out him for doing what he did before the game. Monday Night Football. So go to him. My third shout out is to fickle Boston College fans, because I got a ticket for the UB Boston College game for $425 on StubHub, so that's pretty awesome.
Wow, $425, really?
I'm sure with the whale pants crowd at Boston College, there is a fan somewhere who paid that much for that game.
Whale pants. I'm not familiar with that term.
There's a clothing company called Vineyard Vines, and they're popular on Martha's Vineyard, and they're beloved by the let's pay $30,000 a year for a private high school crowd in Boston, and some of that exists at Boston College. But their logo is a little whale, and they have pants that have many little whales on the pants, and that crowd wears them, and we call them whale pants. Final shout out is to Conrad, who is, I don't even know how long it's been since Conrad's seen a game at UB Stadium. He's making it happen. this week, and I know he hates UB Stadium, but it's good to see him come back. Conrad's last UB game period in person, I think, was the Baylor game in Waco. Now he's making it back for UB, and he's doing a 2-weekend swing for UB Stadium. Then he's going to go to Boston, and I think 8 days from now is going to be the first time Conrad's met another Bull Run editor in person. I could be wrong. I think it's going to be the first time. So that's my shout out. I'm going to get walking again.
All right, well, see, I was waffling on whether to do a couple of shout-outs, but since Matt decided this is like, the 50th thing.
Hey, when you got the Capitol building in the background, you're going to say what you want to say.
I'll
He
give
has
you
a point.
I do want to add on the Stephen Means thing. We have a great diversity of opinion and thought amongst the editors. And some of us feel one way about things, some of us feel another, but I have to say this for Stephen Means. The fact that they raised their fist while they sang the national anthem was awesome. I think there's no better way you could have handled wanting to show your support for a cause with showing that you're not disrespecting. And this isn't to say people who do it differently are wrong. I just think they found a great way to do it where if you're throwing hate at Stephen Means for doing what he did, it's you clearly haven't put thought into what he did. So there's that. So I hate giving a shout out. I really do, but I have to do this. If you haven't looked, Eastern Michigan football is 3-1 after their non-conference slate. And for me, it was always nice having EMU because we always knew there was someone at least as bad as us or around as bad as us in the conference. Now I guess that's maybe Miami filling that role, but it was always EMU. They were there with us for a decade. We had good seasons. Their best season was, I think, a 5-6 or 6-6 season with 2 FCS wins. But if they go 4-1 out of conference, they beat Wyoming tonight. Wyoming, by the way, slapped NIU around earlier this year. So it's very possible Eastern Michigan will be a 6-7-8 win team this year. We'll see. Or they could completely implode. I don't know. I haven't honestly followed the Eagles. So good on them. I hate that they're doing it, but you got to root for the team that's been bad forever at some point in time. The second shout out is for I'm greedy here. I'm gonna give a shout out for my kids who just each ran a cross country race yesterday and ran their personal best. And a piece of advice to young parents out there, people who are entering that phase of their life. Don't wait to get your kids involved in something athletic or something competitive. And when you do that, get involved yourself. It really was great. When you do cross country, they run loops. So I would run from one part of the loop to the other while holding my baby, cheering for my kids from one side to the other while coaching other kids. It's a lot of fun, and I really recommend it. And that's all I got. Does anyone else have anything they want to add before we sign off and go to the after party?
I have one thing.
Yep.
I was going to get you guys a shot of the Supreme Court, but their security guard doesn't seem to like me. So the Capitol Police have no problem, but the Supreme Court single security guard is giving me the stink eye. So I'm going to keep walking.
How's that going to stop you?
Oh. Wait. Hold on. I'm going to step back. So Stephen Means has the courage to put himself out there in front of a lot of fire in front of national TV. And for the how many viewers? For the 0 live viewers we have right now.
To be fair, the post isn't up on Bull Run. I just realized this like 2 minutes ago.
This is the side of the Supreme Court, if you like. I have never claimed to be a courageous man, ever.
All right. Well, there we have it. Matt's not a courageous guy. Let's sign off on that note. Thank you, Conrad, for coming on. It's great seeing you again, and I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you bring a bit of luck to Buffalo. We definitely need it. So for Conrad, Matt, and Robbie, this is Tim. This post will be up in Bull Run shortly. and we will talk to y'all later. See you next week.